If I asked you to define your ultimate purpose, you'd probably say it's something you've been working on your whole life.
Sure, that makes sense.
But what if that journey, that core mission, wasn't just contained to one lifetime?
Right.
What if you had to gather all that knowledge, piece by piece, across 4 totally different reincarnations?
And that's a fascinating idea we are diving into today. It's not just some spiritual story. It's more like a detailed blueprint for continuous learning.
Yeah.
The source material we have is, well, it's just incredible. It's essentially the internal diary of a single consciousness that keeps coming back, life after life, as a dog.
All leading to one very specific final goal.
Exactly.
Our source is really unlike anything else. We're getting the continuous inner life, the whole journey of this one soul as it cycles through these 4 identities. Toby, Bailey, Ellie, and then Buddy.
And we get to see how these seemingly random experiences, from being a feral dog to doing high-stakes search and rescue, how they all build into this very specific, very necessary skill set.
What's so interesting is that the mission itself changes, doesn't it? It's not static.
It evolves massively. It's not just about, fetching a ball or guarding the house. It accumulates layers of knowledge with each life. From basic instincts like who to fear to really complex skills like scent tracking and, well, what you could almost call social engineering.
So our mission for this deep dive is to trace that progression. We're going to track the dog's shifting identities, pull out the core lessons from each life, and see how they all connect to let him fulfill his final, most important purpose.
When I first looked at this, I thought it was just about, protecting his boy from physical harm.
Me too.
But the real mission turned out to be so much more sophisticated, more emotional.
Okay, let's unpack this journey of continuous discovery and dedication, straight from the source's nose. We start with Toby, life number 1. And it is pretty much pure foundational trauma disguised as survival training.
It really is.
He's a feral puppy born by a creek, and his entire world is just defined by fear and scarcity.
And the setting immediately establishes the dog's, let's call it his cognitive baseline. The den, which is a culvert, is described as this moist, cool cave.
Yeah.
That's his definition of safety in this terrifying world.
But the mother dog, she is constantly drilling in the main lesson of this life.
Fear. Absolute fear. The mantra is avoid men at all costs. Fear them.
Their whole routine is just an exercise in evasion. Slinking near bushes, dodging cars, the constant struggle for food. And the biggest competitor isn't another animal.
No, it's the garbage truck. This huge, loud truck with men who are seen as these greedy monsters stealing the meals that people leave out.
It creates this hierarchy of threat.
Right.
People aren't just dangerous, they control the resources. They're like the gods of scarcity in his world.
And that's life 1 in a nutshell. It's about mastering your environment and mastering the pack dynamics you need to survive in it.
We see that pack education right away, too. Toby and his brother, Fast, are always engaged in what the source calls the serious business of play.
Which is really just dominance training.
Exactly. Fast is the inevitable boss. He establishes the order through, constant nips and mouth chewing. Toby's frustrated by it, but he learns really fast that understanding hierarchy is everything.
But the world's complexity is really hammered home by loss. First, one of his siblings, Hungry, just stops breathing. Then his sister disappears.
And Toby starts to realize that the big consequences are totally out of their control. He has this moment of reflection where he understands it wasn't just about hiding and hunting. He says larger events had the ability to change everything, events that were controlled by human beings.
That's a huge intellectual leap for a puppy. He's recognizing that people hold the ultimate power of life and death, and that fascination, that awareness really sets the stage for his next life.
And then that power shows up, literally. Men with poles come and snare the entire pack. It's terrifying. It's everything his mother warned him about.
But then the whole narrative just flips on its head.
Yeah, this unexpected kindness from a woman who he comes to know as Senora.
This is the dog's first exposure to what you might call unconditional positive regard. She's older, she's smaller than the men, but she's the one in charge. And when she touches Toby, he feels a clear sense of caring and concern radiated off of her.
It's a total cognitive rewrite for him.
Yeah.
It establishes that human connection could be a survival mechanism, not just a threat. That's a huge lesson he needs for his next life with Ethan.
He immediately scrambles to kiss her face, and he's just delighted when she laughs.
Just like that, his whole purpose shifts. It's not just about avoiding men anymore. It's about getting this warm, positive response from this one woman.
So he gets taken to the yard. It's this big enclosure where he has to learn pack structure all over again. He meets his first real best friend, a dog named Coco. Senora names him Toby. And the whole environment is loud, it's complex, but the hierarchy is stable.
Right. It's maintained by this dog called Top Dog, who enforces order, but functionally.
Exactly. But that stability is very temporary, which sets up the most severe trauma of this life, the arrival of Spike.
Ugh. Spike. The source describes him as having been bred to fight. He's covered in scars, and he basically represents the absolute worst of humanity, just filtered through canine violence.
And the contrast is what's so horrifying. Top Dog fights for control, without causing permanent damage. That's the goal of a functioning pack leader.
Right.
Spike fights for destruction. When he challenges Top Dog, he just ignores all the rules. He wins so violently that he leaves a bloody tear under his ear. This is violence for its own sake, enforced by these swift, painful nips that just destabilize the entire group.
This is such a critical lesson for the future dog. He's learning about human-mediated danger, that some humans actually create monsters.
And he sees the results of living without people when his sister reappears. She's thin, scarred, completely broken. She's just groveling in front of Top Dog. Toby realizes that's the defeated state they would have ended up in if they'd stayed feral.
The whole thing escalates when Spike attacks his sister. And Toby, who is just propelled by a rage I'd never felt before, he jumps into the fight with Fast.
And that's when he gets the injury that defines the end of this life. Spike clamps down on his foreleg, and the pain is described as agonizing and searing all the way up to his shoulder.
The consequence of that is permanent. He gets a chemical-smelling needle in this cool room, and he's officially deemed to have permanent damage.
Categorized as unadoptable, the trauma Spike introduced gets the whole pack labeled inhumane, and they're all removed.
And Toby ends up in this tiny, hot, miserable room, forced to share space with the very violence that Spike represents.
And as he sinks into that dark, silent sleep, the source describes it as being filled with this black energy and just oppressive fatigue. This isn't just a physical death. It's the dog's perception of deep emotional despair. It's the hopelessness that comes from being declared worthless, unadoptable.
But right before that darkness takes him, his mind circles back. It overrides the pain, it overrides the fear.
Yeah.
He focuses on the one positive thing he actually accomplished.
Making Senora laugh.
Yeah. His final reflection just sums up the entirety of life one. Of all the things I'd ever done, making Senora laugh seemed the most important. It was, I reflected, the only thing that gave my life any purpose.
So the purpose of his first life wasn't just survival. It was realizing that his ability to connect with and bring joy to a specific human was his highest possible achievement.
But does he take that purpose of joy directly into the next life? I mean, the immediate start of the Bailey life is defined by this extreme trauma and another primal escape attempt. It really seems like the trauma memory, the heat, the confinement, it overwrites that lesson of joy, at least at first.
Well, the consciousness returns as a light-colored puppy. And this life, it serves as the crucible where all that instinct, everything he learned as Toby, is forged into practiced, formalized skill.
The memory of the black energy in that hot room is immediate.
Yeah.
And what's the first thing he does?
He tries to escape. He's immediately trying to manipulate this lever-style handle on the gate, just like his mother tried with the knob back in the yard. He stumbles, the gate opens, and he thinks he's free. He's just chasing the wind, seeking adventure.
So the escape lesson is there, right from the start.
Instantly. But his first human interaction it's a terrifying echo of the past. He's found by a man who smells of smoke and that eye-watering tang of alcohol, which he instantly links to the drinks the men in the yard had.
He's named Fella, and then he's just abandoned in the scorching front cab of a truck. He's nearly dying of heat exhaustion, feeling his feet literally burning on the windowsill.
It's the heat trauma from Toby's final moments coming right back to threaten this new life.
But that moment of disaster is averted, and it leads him to his real destination. Gets rescued, cooled down, and he meets Mom and the boy, Ethan.
And this is the moment, this is where the overarching mission of this soul really, truly crystallizes.
The bond with Ethan is instantaneous. It's profound. The boy smells of mud and sugar and an animal I'd never scented before. And the dog recognizes this intense, beautiful flow of love.
This is the highest expression of the joy he was searching for in his first life, just multiplied by 1,000. He gets his new name, Bailey.
The initial chaos of living indoors is so relatable. You see the dog's intellectual struggle to just map out human rules.
He's trying to logically process the completely baffling inconsistency of potty training.
Right, he gets scolded with no for
Uh-huh.
peeing on the slick floors, then he gets praised with good boy
Hmm.
for doing it outside, and then he gets this sort of relieved acceptance with, okay, that's good for using the papers. It makes no sense.
He's learning that human communication isn't logical, it's emotional. And that's preparation for the really complex demands of a human partnership later on. The training here is unintentional, but it's absolutely crucial. He's learning to navigate the confusing emotional landscape of people.
He also learns the pain of abandonment all over again. The dog door game, where Mom and Ethan leave, turns out to be this agony of being left alone in the garage.
And his destructive behavior, shredding his bed, eating trash, it's a plea for attention. And that leads to Dad's anger and the long car ride to the farm.
To Grandma and Grandpa's.
And the farm becomes his first real training ground for his heroic skill set. It's a place of freedom. He meets a huge, blank, staring horse named Flair. He discovers the pond, and very importantly, a cat that is actually afraid of him.
Which is a huge improvement over the cat from home.
A major improvement, and this setting is what facilitates that defining moment of heroism, the fishing trip, where Ethan falls into the pond.
Bailey doesn't even hesitate. The instinct to protect, which was refined by his earlier life, it just takes over. He dives straight into the murky water and grabs Ethan's hood.
It's a primal rescue, pure reaction, but then he does it again immediately when Ethan goes under trying to get his fishing rod.
And this is what moves Bailey beyond simple instinct. Grandpa sees this, recognizes the potential, and he formalizes it. The very next day, Grandpa starts rigorously training Bailey in this exact maneuver. He calls it rescue me.
It's classic operant conditioning. He has Ethan jump in the water over and over again. And this turns a primal, one-time reaction into a reliable, repeatable, formalized skill. It's practiced bravery.
That practiced bravery is exactly what Ellie, the search and rescue dog, is going to rely on later.
Right. This part of the story shows us the mechanism of how purpose accumulates. A traumatic instinct, the need to protect the source of his love, is turned into a technical, repeatable skill.
But the perfect life on the farm is shattered by the return of human-mediated violence, this time in the form of Todd, a neighborhood boy.
We have to explicitly link Todd back to Spike. Todd is the same pattern of human cruelty, just appearing again. But this time, it's focused entirely on the dog's person, on Ethan.
Todd's actions just escalate the fear. First, there's the firecracker scare, close enough to feel the percussion. Then he purposefully confines Bailey in his dark, gloomy, fume-filled room.
And Bailey, just like Toby's mother taught him, learns to avoid him. He starts slinking into the shadows.
The tension really peaks with the near-fatal poisoning. Bailey finds this piece of meat. It has a sharp tang, an odd bitter odor, and Todd's scent is all over it.
This is a huge intellectual moment for him. He's exhausted and suspicious from the earlier encounters. He is tired of this kind of conflict, and he chooses not to eat it.
His survival instinct, honed in his feral life, saves him. And Mom throws it away later, which just confirms he made the right choice.
The final attack is catastrophic, the night of the fire. Bailey is immediately alerted by that sharp, familiar chemical smell, gasoline. And he sees Todd retreating. He just starts barking frantically, sounding the alarm.
The dog's desperation is just. It's palpable. He's trying to get Ethan to the door. And when Ethan is forced to jump out the window, and he sustains that painful leg injury that requires a pin and causes scarring, the dog switches from being a warning system to an aggressor.
Wait, is this the first time the consciousness has used violence not just for survival, but for retribution?
I think so. When Bailey charges the retreating Todd and he bites him and leaves a blood trail, that's not self-defense. That's protective aggression on behalf of his person.
And it's a deliberate, strategic bite. It's not aimed to maim, it's aimed to track. The police follow that blood trail directly to Todd, who needs 8 stitches.
And one of the officers even says, I'd say our 4-legged friend here was on Canine patrol tonight and got himself a good bite of arsonist.
So Bailey is hailed as a hero, but the damage is done. Ethan is scarred physically and emotionally. And the core purpose of Life 2, to love and protect Ethan, has been achieved, but at a really high cost.
Bailey's life ends peacefully, years later on the farm, even with the strain of Ethan going off to college. He dies on the exam table, and Mom comforts him. She gives him his final evaluation. You did a good job. You took care of the boy.
And Bailey internalizes that purpose. He was meant to love and protect. But in the next life, we see this consciousness take those skills and dedicate them to a much, much broader population.
This third life is where all those accumulated skills get professionalized. The consciousness comes back as a black-marked puppy, and she remembers the trauma, the love, the protective imperative.
And the purpose shifts from individual adoration to dedicated, disciplined work.
The past life experiences are the absolute perfect foundation for this demanding canine life. The sharp discipline from Toby's pack, the intense rescue me training from the farm, the willingness to fight back against human threats,
Yeah.
all of it prepared her for Jacob.
A policeman who adopts her. And Jacob's approach is cold and businesslike from the jump. He tests the puppy immediately, flips her on her back to check for dominance submission.
And the dog gets the new rule instantly. A dog's job was to do what people wanted. When she's pinned down, she just relaxes, no struggle, and Jacob praises the good girl.
It shows how quickly she can assimilate human hierarchy and expectations. That's a skill she learned back in the yard.
This detachment is really key to Ellie's success. Jacob focuses on precise, high-stakes training. Drop means lie down now. Stay means stay no matter what.
She learns to climb ladders, conquering a fear of heights and unstable ground. She's desensitized to gunshots, learning to just ignore them as background noise.
But Ellie senses a dark bitterness in Jacob. It's similar to the lonely grief that Ethan felt after the fire. Jacob's affection is always checked by these cool eyes and constant evaluation. It's not like the flowing, unconditional love from Ethan.
And paradoxically, that cold focus actually helps Ellie move past missing Ethan. She has a job to do, and it requires absolute focus.
The training progresses so fast. It starts with simple games like Find Wally, where a man hides. Then it evolves to locating specific scent articles like a glove or a shoe, and then critically to air scenting.
Which, for anyone who might be unfamiliar, is incredibly sophisticated. This isn't just ground tracking, following paw prints. Air scenting means detecting human odor particles that are carried on the wind. It's about locating people regardless of the terrain or how visible they are.
Her expertise in this leads to really quick SAR success. She tracks Marilyn, an Alzheimer's patient, to a swing set. She even earns the nickname Chopper Dog after riding in a helicopter during a search.
It shows she's trusted in these complex, chaotic environments. But the first major trauma of this life, which echoes the violence of Spike and Todd, is a massive deployment to El Salvador after an earthquake.
And the environment is just pure devastation. She finds 4 dead people, and her initial excitement about the find game, it just soured.
That experience teaches her the grim reality of loss on a huge scale. It broadens her understanding of human suffering way beyond her immediate family.
The climax of this life happens at a collapsed building. It reeks of this toxic chemical odor. And this is where Ellie's technical skills clash with her deepest instinct.
She alerts, but not to the strong toxic smell. She alerts to a very faint, live woman scent just behind it.
Her new handler, Maya, she either mistakes the alert or thinks the area is too dangerous, and she gives the command, come.
And Ellie violates her strict canine training. This is a moment of profound moral choice for the dog. She ignores the command, the most fundamental violation of her learned discipline, and she dives into this tight, burning, wet space.
That deliberate disobedience, prioritizing the living scent over her handler's command, is the absolute highest expression of her accumulated purpose.
It's the ultimate synthesis. She's using the technical skill of air scenting combined with the protective aggression she learned in her life as Bailey.
She sustains chemical burns on her nose from it, but she finds the woman.
And she's hailed as a hero dog for saving Jeffrey, a little boy who was trapped in a drain. That's a direct connection back to Bailey's pond training. She's applying technical water rescue skills to a confined life-or-death situation in rubble. She didn't just save a person, she saved people.
The irony here is so profound, though. Ellie is retired because of that scent damage. The chemical burn makes her sense of smell too damaged to work.
But the lesson of that trauma, to ignore a command to save a life, that's the highest level of devotion she's achieved so far. Her failure, in a way, becomes her ultimate teaching moment for the next life.
She goes to live with Maya and her fiancé, Al. She finds domestic peace, and she even gets some unexpected comfort from Tinkerbell, the cat, who actually cuddles with her.
Which is a huge achievement, considering her previous track record with cats.
Right. And Ellie dies thinking that her purpose was to fulfill the most essential job, being a good dog who saved people. She synthesized the loyalty of Bailey with the discipline from Jacob to become the ultimate rescue dog.
But hold on. If she achieved the ultimate rescue role, why did she come back?
That's the question, isn't it?
The consciousness returns asking that exact thing. How could I possibly have a more important mission than loving the boy and saving people? The answer has to be that the final mission is more complex and it requires all these skills, but it's applied to a problem that isn't physical.
So the consciousness returns again, this time as a black puppy. And after achieving life-saving heroism and domestic peace, the early part of this life feels like a huge step back.
A total regression. He's low energy, he's passive. The breeder, Colonel, just deems him mellow and unwanted.
He's bought by a guy named Derek for his girlfriend, Wendy. And this relationship is so confusing. It echoes that inconsistency he first learned during potty training, but this is amplified to emotional abuse.
Yeah, Wendy's love is chaotic. One minute it's intense kissing, the next she's screaming at him over chewed shoes or is forgetting to feed him entirely.
The dog barks for hours out of this pent-up energy, and he feels this life has no purpose whatsoever. He's isolated, he's neglected, he's just this experienced soul stuck in a chaotic, purposeless situation.
And the final betrayal is a devastating echo of the past, linking right back to Toby's initial trauma. He's locked in a dark car trunk, he's reliving the heat trauma, and then he's just dumped on a dirt road by Victor, Wendy's mother's boyfriend.
Who tells him, "You're free now"?
This abandonment just strips him of his identity. He's cut off from humans, he feels timid and purposeless, and he's reflecting the despair of his first mother, the feral dog. This is the ultimate test. Can he use all his accumulated knowledge without a human handler telling him what to do?
And this is where the continuity of consciousness becomes the main character of this story. As he's wandering, he just stops. He recognizes scent markers near a bridge. And even though the physical bridge has changed over the years, the smells were exactly the same as I remembered.
It's the memory of the farm, it's his geographical compass, and it's leading him back to his true person.
He tracks that scent straight to the farmhouse, and inside he finds an old, limping man. The man is obviously in pain, he's using a cane, and he's just radiating this lonely grief.
But the dog recognizes the scent instantly, unmistakably Ethan.
The reunion is overwhelming. The dog leaps on him, his tail is flying, he's driven by that pure, unadulterated flow of love that he remembers from life too.
But Ethan, who is isolated and struggling, he initially rejects him. He calls the police to take the dog to the pound, even though he notes the dog is cooperative.
This is a huge barrier. Ethan is resistant to love, to connection. He's about to send the dog away.
And it's only when a family shows up to adopt the dog, they're going to name him Coley, that Ethan snaps out of his depressive state. He just shouts, "My dog, I've changed my mind."
He names him Buddy, after trying a few names until the dog specifically responds to Buddy. And then comes the ultimate confirmation. Ethan finds Bailey's old collar.
And Buddy sniffs the faint former scent of himself. That is the moment the accumulated consciousness of Bailey fully inhabits the new body of Buddy.
And Buddy realizes his ultimate purpose isn't physical rescue anymore. It's emotional rescue. Ethan is suffering from sinking despair, and Buddy's final mission is to give him a family. The family Ethan lost after the fire, the family structure the dog never quite got to complete in life too.
This requires a cognitive leap that is way beyond any previous skill. Buddy now has to use his knowledge of advanced tracking from Ellie and his understanding of human social dynamics from all four lives to actively engineer a reunion with Hannah.
The girl from the football games from the farm.
Exactly. This act it's pure manipulation, but it's done with love. He needs Hannah's specific scent. So he tracks Carly, Hannah's dog, to the dog park. He confirms the target.
He luxuriates in Hannah's fresh and strong scent all over Carly's fur.
Then he executes the plan. When Carly's owner leaves, Buddy just settles down on Hannah's stoop and waits. He deliberately lets Hannah find him and read his collar tag.
"My name is Buddy. I belong to Ethan Montgomery."
It's astonishing. He is using a physical tool, the collar tag, as a message delivery system to achieve an emotional outcome.
It synthesizes the entire journey. The escape instinct let him find the farm. The loyalty ensured he stayed. The tracking skills got him to Hannah. And the understanding of human social structure, knowing the tag would get a response, completed the mission.
And it's a success. Hannah and Ethan reunite. Buddy notes the tension just lifts from Ethan. They start seeing each other, they get married, they have a family, Rachel, and then their grandson, Chase.
The purpose is fulfilled. The dog has given his boy the happiness and the family connection that he needed.
Many years later, the dog, Buddy, he senses the final moment is coming. Ethan's reading in the sun, he feels dizzy, and Buddy forces his way onto the couch, knowingly disobeying the down command.
That final act of disobedience isn't rebellion, it's prioritization.
Buddy puts his head in Ethan's lap, making sure his boy's life ends with the comfort and the knowledge that he was not alone. The dog is secure. He knows he has fulfilled his purpose to learn everything he needed, from feral survival to emotional engineering, so he could finally rescue Ethan from loneliness.
The dog's final reflection is the synthesis of everything. He lies there, remembering the first time he saw the boy and the last, and he's secure that by living his life the way he had, everything had come down to this moment.
He had fulfilled his purpose, not through one life, but through 4 carefully constructed lives of learning. Hashtag tag outro.
The entire narrative arc is just this stunning argument for cumulative learning. It proves that experience, even when it's painful, is never wasted.
Never.
So let's just recap that journey of accumulation. Feral survival, as Toby taught him courage, the instinct to escape, and that initial critical lesson that humans can bring joy.
Which established his whole pursuit of connection. Then with Bailey, he learned unconditional love, the dynamics of a human family, and crucially, how to turn that primal protective instinct into a practiced, repeatable, technical skill.
The rescue me training, which also included protective aggression against threats like Todd.
Then, as Ellie, he professionalized those skills. He gained discipline, advanced scent tracking, and he applied his protective instinct to the wider world, achieving that capacity for self-sacrifice.
By prioritizing a live human scent over the sacred rule of obedience.
And finally, as Buddy, he synthesized all of those skills: loyalty, escape, tracking, and this incredibly nuanced understanding of human emotion and technology, with the collar tag not for a physical rescue from a fire or from rubble, but for the profound emotional rescue of Ethan from loneliness.
This story really shows us that an ultimate purpose is rarely achieved through just one single action or event, right? It's the synthesis of all those past lessons, all those traumas, that allows the final, most meaningful purpose to be achieved.
It's the ability to connect and restore. And here's where it gets really interesting for you listening to this. If the dog had to learn all these specific interwoven skills across multiple lives just to make his boy whole, what complex interwoven experiences, the traumas, the successes, the moments of obedience and disobedience, are shaping your ultimate purpose right now?
Consider the bonds you've established in your own life. Do you, like the dog, carry the lessons and skills from every past relationship and every challenge into the present, preparing you for the most important role you have yet to play? Maybe that job isn't a career or a title. Maybe it's just the ability to rescue someone you love from loneliness.